All right, so here we go. On the path to greatness, I'm making bold statements. Sats, we're gonna rake in. We're all gonna make it. Bitcoin might move slow, but as you know, it's not a disadvantage, as the critics tend to imagine. Anything that improves on Bitcoin will get swallowed and conjoined. Well, at least that's the point. 2 more weeks until Taproot emerges, and once it's working, that'll more than serve its purpose. Smart contracts and time locks can start running, private multi-sigs abundant. Man, you gotta love it. Cream got drained, that's quite a scare. Flash loans causing nightmares over there, but Honey Badger don't care. Take any smart contract as an option, battle test, and go through audits, and eventually we'll adopt it. Another verse from the docket, spreading like pollen, keep calm and stay sovereign. Now let's get it poppin'. Thanks everyone for joining me here. The guidelines are, if you'd like to speak, just unmute yourself, and we'll call on you. And if just feel free to jump in at any point. And if you have a long-winded question, save that for the end. We have a lot of updates for you today. And if there's anyone here who would like to give a quick hello, feel free to unmute yourself and say hi. All right, let's start with Idan Yago with the governance updates.
Hi guys. So we've passed a number of SIPs recently. There's been a lot of activity on the governance side. In particular, we passed the SIP to concentrate liquidity mining reward. Sorry, not liquidity mining rewards. SOV staking revenue with liquid SOV stakers. That's a very important change to the economics of SOV staking, and should substantially shift the value accruing to SOV stakers. And it also opens the way for SIP 31, which is going to start to provide AMM fees with SOV stakers as well. And then SIP 34, which passed earlier this week, is going to allow for, is basically a continuation, I think, of SIP 15, where we chose to provide the exchequer with the ability to utilize unlocked SOV from the adoption and ecosystem and development pools, and this SIP 34 allowed for an additional amount under that original SIP to be transferred. But what we have upcoming is even more. So there is a newly organized SIP around Origins, which has been rewritten, taking into account the comments provided by the community. I've been looking at the conversation in the forum, and I think the new changes are being very well received. In addition to that, this Friday, hopefully we'll be able to, I'm writing one, and I think the GIMP is writing the other, publish 2 draft SIPs. One for Sovryn Mint. Sovryn Mint is the Bitcoin stablecoin aggregator, which will allow Sovryn to start minting Bitcoin-backed stablecoins. And that will also open the way for Zero, which is the zero interest rate lending it, or basically borrowing. So the ability to borrow Bitcoin-backed stablecoins against your Bitcoin at zero interest rates. And what we're hoping, or at least what I'm hoping, is that these will be received favorably, because that will allow both of these new sub-protocols to be launched fairly shortly. So to have bootstrap events for both of them. These would both be using SOV bonded tokens. So we can talk about SOV bonded tokens again if we need to, but again, quick summary. The tokens for these sub-protocols are generated through a bonding curve where SOV is used to generate these tokens, effectively locking up the SOV and creating a new sub-governance system. And we also have a number of additional projects that have published. Mintlayer, Niftify, and some others are also looking to try and take advantage of origins. So hopefully there's going to be a high degree of consensus around origins and these other sub-protocols, which will allow for the next phase in Sovryn's ecosystem growth and expansion, and will make it much easier for other projects outside of core team to begin to contribute. And so I think that's going to be a big chunk of the conversation today. And so in order to not take up time that can be valuably spent on those conversations, I'd like to pass it back to you, Ingvar.
All right, thanks a lot, Iago. Light, are you there?
Yeah.
Awesome. Take the floor.
Sure. So the one update that I wanted to cover today was just to let folks know about an update to the Lightning Bridge project. After the Sovrython earlier this year, there was a grant that was given to one of the winning teams to continue their work on building a Lightning to RBTC bridge of sorts. It's kind of like an atomic swap mechanism. And they recently released the tool that they're building on testnet. So as of the time of that release a couple weeks ago, the channel in the Sovryn Discord server where they are kind of coordinating their work and doing testing and answering questions is now public. So you can find that channel. It's called the Lightning SOV channel, and here in this Sovryn Discord server, where you can learn more about the LNSOV Bridge project, find the link to test it out, and if you're a developer, I'm sure they'd be interested in chatting about ways that you could contribute to development. And that's all I had to talk about today.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Mr. Light. Very interesting, very exciting stuff. Aurora?
Hi, everyone. So Iago already mentioned that there was a SIP around the revenue share, and this SIP was a requirement for the bundled release we had at the beginning of the sprint, which included the updates to the staking and the fee sharing concept. Yeah. Please mute yourself if you're not speaking. So this introduced the changes to the staking and the fee sharing contract, which were required for us to exclude the vesting contracts from the fee sharing, meaning that the fees are now concentrated to the voluntary SOV stakers. During this update, we also realized that we will need to have another very small update to also allow for withdrawing the fees accrued in RBTC, because currently all of the fees, one of the other updates of the fee sharing proxy was to automatically convert all of the fees to RBTC, so that you do not get any longer the fees on all of the different tokens, but instead receive everything concentrated. And this was so far not possible for RBTC, but it will be shortly, enabling us to withdraw really all of the fees. It also came with the refactored vesting registry, which means that we are now able to register multiple vesting contracts on a single registry, which should make it much simpler to monitor the vesting contracts and to find the vesting contracts, and also for third parties to access this information. It was also a requirement for the vesting automation contract, which should make it easier for us and save time on internal processes. So much about the release. Then, as many of you already know, we have the POC for the FastBTC peg out. Like, we have the first version of the FastBTC peg out on testnet, and it can be tested. It also already contains some of the nice features like double spend protection on the swords, which we didn't have in the very first version, but now it's there as well. We are just finalizing a few things before we hand it over for the audit. So you should be able to see FastBTC pegouts very soon. Part of the works on the new margin trading interface is the introduction of limit orders. So with the margin trading update, you can also expect to see limit orders and limit orders for entering margin trades and also limit orders for swapping. What will not yet be part of that update is conditional orders for closing positions, such as stop loss or take profit orders, but they will be worked on next. On the PerpSwap side, the audit started, and we're currently running integration tests. We're setting up the front and data services, and are on a good track, and hope that we can provide you soon with a link for testing everything on testnet. We're also about to finish some updates to the liquidity mining contract, so the yield farming contract, which will allow you and which will allow other projects to reward users who provide liquidity to the AMM in their own tokens. So also sub-protocols like Zero, if they are launching and they will have a Zero pool on the AMM, then they can decide to pay liquidity mining rewards in Zero. Also, the Babelfish team could then decide to pay liquidity mining rewards in Fish, and the MLC team could decide to pay liquidity mining rewards in MLC. And it would all be possible on the same contract in a very easy way. Jaco also mentioned that the first SIP we had was like paving the way for another SIP, which is the AMM fee split. The original version of the AMM fee split SIP draft was still considering that we would have the fee split happening on the margin trading protocol instead of the AMM itself. But because more time passed now until between the SIPs or until the first SIP was voted on, we were able to actually implement the fee split on the AMM itself. These are changes which still need to be reviewed, but the development work is already finished, so we should be able to directly vote on an AMM fee split on the AMM itself instead of the protocol. Then we started work on bridge improvements to reduce the gas costs. Some of you might have noticed that the gas costs especially in the ETH bridge, increased a lot. This was just because of the crazy gas fluctuations we had, so that a bridge transfer could cost us several $100 worth of tokens. So this is showing how essential it is for us to improve the gas costs of the bridge, and we started working on that. Apart from that, we're having more and more third-party integrators which are interested in integrating Sovryn features into their products, and we are providing the documentation and helping and just figuring out the way, like the best way for third-party integrators to integrate in a very easy fashion, which does not require that much support from the core team. And I think that these are basically like the major updates.
Make sure you mute your mic.
Okay. Wait, is that everything, Aurora?
Yeah, that's everything.
Okay. Be sure to keep your mic muted. If I don't see you muted, I will mute you and you will be unable to mute yourself. So just keep an eye on that mute button, everyone. Thank you very much. Zoo, I don't believe will be present for the updates. I see him in the chat, but I don't know if that means you would like to take the floor, Zoo. Otherwise,
I can try. I'm not sure whether my connection will cut out though. But yeah,
you sound okay now.
okay, cool. So hi guys, good to see you all here again. So a lot of the things I'm going to go over, I guess, has been brought up by Aurora and Yago already. But a lot of our efforts at the moment are based around working on the perp swaps. We've been very happy to finally get the reward SOV page out. As Aurora mentioned, we need to make a few changes to make it work completely properly. One thing we learned about this, and we're now looking to do, is to create better live test environments so that we don't have issues when we're releasing these kind of things. We have the trading release that I've been telling you about for I think two of these calls. We're delaying it a tiny bit. Before I told you that we were going to release spot limit orders for you. We're delaying it shortly so that we can bring that release out with margin limit orders as well. So we're expecting that to be in roughly 2.5-3 weeks time. So that should bring a lot to the margin trading and trading in general, and should make it much more usable for you guys to play with. Other than that, the fast BTC two-way peg interface, we've started working on that. It'll be very similar to the cross-chain deposit flows, and is working towards our new overall send and deposit flow that will be coming later in the quarter. Other than that, we've been working on the branding, creating the logos for Mint and Zero, and they will be coming out shortly. And the most important thing for me, anyway, since I've been here, we've been working towards this for a long time. Comic issue 1 is finally being scripted, so looking forward to that coming out sometime in this quarter. Inga, I think that's everything from myself.
Awesome. Super excited for the comic book schedule. Malva, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, everybody. Give you my update. So I suppose everyone here is wondering what I've been up to the last 2 months I've been here. And I'll just run through what I've been up to, what the plans are, and how we go from here. So as many of you probably know, we haven't really had a marketing function in Sovryn. Up until now, it's been a lot of work from loads of different people, from Exile to the GIMP, to Yago, to everybody who's just dipped in, Honzico as well, publishing stuff on Twitter, on social media, and the channels, writing blog posts. But there's been no real marketing function dedicated to marketing Sovryn and promoting the brand across lots of channels. So that's what I've been trying to plan out and build a team around that. So we've already onboarded Judas, who's going to be the marketing lead for the marketing team. He started a couple of weeks ago, and this week we're going to bring on, or the next couple of weeks, some internal content writers to start writing about Sovryn, about sovereignism, about Bitcoin, about private property rights, a social media manager, email marketing, video analytics. So gradually building up the team so we have a proper kind of internal media agency, so we can start creating some really cool stuff, working very closely, obviously, with Sue and the GIMP and Scotty in guidance. So that was kind of the major thing, try to see who we could find in the community and in internal members of Sovryn already, and assign them new roles. With that, new website is nearly ready to be handed off to developers, so that's probably going to handed over next week. It'll probably take a couple of months to build out, but that's very exciting. I've been working more on an adoption strategy, working closely, as I mentioned before, with the marketing team, Judas, the GIMP wiki, how we can work together to create lots of mainly educational stuff, educational marketing, how-to docs, videos, and then the long-term think about putting together like an academy, like the Sovryn School, not just about how to use the Sovryn platform, but how to be sovereign in our day-to-day lives. That's very exciting. That's more of a long-term play with what we have planned. Some sex updates, I know people have been calling out. Unfortunately for us, they're kind of out of our hands. We are talking to many of them. We're kind of on a waiting list for a few of them. So we're working on it closely. We're very focused on it, and we're just have to wait until they're ready to announce it. So we'll keep you updated on these calls and on the channels when we know more. On CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko, I know there's lots of people, including us, in worrying about the wrong numbers being shown up on both of them. So hopefully Unicum's taken that on, resubmitted the form. So hopefully that is fixed or will be fixed very shortly. So they'll be showing the right TLV, etc. on that. As you've seen, the last month we've reached out and worked with a good few influencers. Some have worked out well, some haven't. So we're trying to, really select on people we want to work with in the future who have the same values and the same vision for the future as we do, rather than just working with maybe any influencer who may just shill any project or any coin. So we want to be a bit more selective there. Loads more happening that I won't go into here, but I'll hang around after the call. If anyone wants to chat one-on-one, ask me questions, happy to oblige. But I suppose in summary is that I'm putting in process in place, building up a team, putting together a marketing strategy, working closely with the internal team so we can really hit the ground running from November, December, and in the new year, start creating really good bits of content and educational pieces to get everyone else excited as we are about this project. So yeah, that's it for me for today. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much, Malva. Next we have myself, and then we can answer any questions that the community might have. So right now we're taking one of the winning hackathon projects from the Sovryn and exploring further grants and investments. With this particular project, they're building a new Bitcoin product inspired by reflexive finance. Transact now allows for direct purchase of RBTC with fiat, but we have yet to turn that on from the front end side. We're exploring the introduction of other foreign currencies into the lending, borrowing, and swapping. So expect a proposal regarding that within a couple days. We have the Chainlink price feeds on testnet. It should be on mainnet within a few days, and this could once again open up DATs from Ethereum and improve on our price feeds for XUSD, for example. And finally, I wanted to discuss the SIP from the folks at Niftify for launching a sale on Origins for Niftify, and I believe we have a couple of representatives from there in this call right now. So, Roman, are you with us?
Hey, Ingvar, yeah, we're here, and we've got Bruno and Jan on as well.
Hi guys, awesome. Bruno here, one of the co-founders and CEO of Niftify. And then I have Jan with me, who is our CTO.
Yeah. Hi, nice to meet you, everybody. Yeah, I'm the CTO of Niftify.
Awesome. Could you shed some light on the premise of Niftify and what your goals are, and maybe the synergies with Sovryn?
Well, I'll try to say it from my perspective as a CEO and co-founder of the company. I'll give the word to Jan from a technical perspective, and then maybe Roman, who has been with us from the beginning and who helped us with the tokenomics and who has been a very good advisor from the beginning. So the main reason why I started this venture is because I feel that we need more and more easy to use platforms, and that's not only from a cryptocurrency perspective where you can buy and sell, basically cryptocurrency, but also from an NFT perspective. I've been in crypto for 10 years, and many times I notice that I've been spreading the word and telling people, you know what, you should buy some Bitcoin. And lately I've been telling and motivating people to buy some NFTs. But even still today, I feel like for the average Joe, it's not so easy to get involved. So the main reason why I'm doing this is because I want to be part of the community. I want to build the community and grow the community, and I want more and more people to join this community and make it as easy as possible. I think that's my main reason why I started the venture. Talk more about Niftify. I think it would be good to go to Jan now from a technical perspective, and also to a quick introduction of Jan. And then afterwards I can come back and talk a bit more about what we are doing and who we signed so far in terms of really. Go ahead, Jan.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, nice to meet you all. What we're trying to do, what Bruno said, is exactly that. We're trying to bring user experience and kind of usability of websites to the Web 3.0. So we're trying to build a really UX-friendly NFT marketplace that anybody can use it. So we are targeting that people without any crypto knowledge and they want to just dip their toes. We are here to help them. So that is our main priority. Of course, we wanna create a marketplace as well that is kind of built and it works on top of the blockchain, meaning that every transaction is kind of recorded and everything can be proved that everything happened. These are my main objectives with building the product.
Thanks, Jan. So let me fill in again. So I think what's really important also is that from a marketing perspective, we have signed already a bunch of really cool superstars like Ice-T, 2 Unlimited. We got Villarreal. We're talking to Barcelona and Real Madrid to do some really cool stuff. For us, that's really important because if you can get all these superstars onboarded and those are the ones who are close to the average Joe, I really feel like we can grow the community. And then what I also have noticed in this NFT industry is that many of these platforms out there are pretty expensive. So how many people in this group have minted an NFT, didn't sell it, and then they lost money, or they sold it and they end up losing money? I hear those stories the whole time. So that's why we created also lazy minting. So you don't have to pay anything until your NFT gets sold. Like we really want to do it for the artist, for the people who are. I know a few people in Portugal. They lost their jobs and they are living off NFTs, and then they lose money selling an NFT. It sucks really hard. So I think, and then also what happened with OpenSea recently was not so kosher. So it's trying to do the things right and being good for the community, and then of course come with a really easy to use platform. We try to be very open-minded and open to listen to people, to suggestions. One of these suggestions that came up was NFT on demand. Many people who want to do NFTs, but they're not really design smart, so they don't really know how to create one. So they can now talk to somebody who is a designer, and then they can basically sell it together. Maybe Roman, I don't know if you want to fill in something as well. Should unmute Roman. Or did we lose you?
I have a question on the lazy mint. Does that mean that gas costs are fronted by Niftify?
No, there is no gas fee. You can basically upload. And Jan, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not a technical guy. I'm a visionary, and I'm an idea guy. I have these crazy ideas, and I'm like, I hope we can build it. So you can basically upload your NFT and then put it for sale, and once you have somebody who's interested who wants to buy it, then you basically mint it. And then you can choose, you can either mint it on Ethereum, which is quite expensive, or you can even say, you know what, I'll mint it on Polygon, because layer 2 will have Polygon Matic. And then we're also looking at layer 3, layer 4, we're looking at multi-chain basically.
So, yeah, we're also looking to build an NFT bridge. So, for example, an NFT might start its life on one chain, and then a person will want to move it to another one. We will support that. Another thing that is kind of revolutionary is what we're trying to do is we're trying to build an NFT oracle, meaning that people will know what the fair value of NFT is. Of course, this will take some time, but we already started working on it, and we want to create a system that will make a fair prediction on the current value of the digital asset based on demand and based on rarity and all these different parameters. And also, yeah, what Bruno said about lazy minting is true. So you create an NFT, you don't have to pay anything for creating it. And when the first buyer comes, they will create a transaction, record their purchase on chain, and with their purchase, they will also mint an NFT.
So it's kind of like minting on demand, like how they do t-shirt printing on demand kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So that would bring all the people that want to create NFTs and don't have the graphical knowledge, it would bring the NFTs to them and enable them to create NFTs that they want.
And the metadata associated with the NFT, are you holding it for them until it's ready, or how does it work? Like, do they upload something to your servers, or do they upload it to an IPFS, or how is it done?
Yeah, so currently, that's also one of the specialties of our product. What they will do is they will select all the metadata. They will upload it. So we support multi kind of generation of assets. So for example, if somebody wanted to do a drop, they can do it, and then the metadata will be uploaded, including the metadata that we do. But one thing that we actually support that is kind of special is the metadata gets hashed. So we save a hash. And then user gets this hash, and they can prove to anybody that this metadata was never changed. So the metadata is not saved on the blockchain. The user can of course store it on the IPFS, but we also store it for them. So the delivery of the data is faster. And what they can do is with this metadata hash, they can come anytime, and they can just verify that this metadata hash is valid, and they can prove to anybody that this NFT has the same metadata it had at start, and that nobody changed it.
Okay, and what if I take metadata and just create an NFT with the same metadata, resulting in the same hash?
Yeah, so metadata, so yeah, the hash is the same. The hash is basically a hash of the metadata stringified. So if you get a new NFT, it gets signed a different ID, so the metadata is different. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so if the ID is already part of the hash, then if you are minting the NFT only when there is a buyer, then you wouldn't know what the hash is in advance because you wouldn't know which ID is assigned, or am I wrong here?
No, you're correct. I misspoke. So the ID is not in the metadata, but the creator is. So you can prove that you are the one who created this metadata. So if somebody else would want to falsify the metadata, they would also get a different user ID assigned to it. And this would change the metadata completely. And in the metadata, there's no ID, but there is a collection ID that specifies which collection the NFT belongs to.
Okay. All right, but still if the creator is not the one who is creating the NFT, like sending the transaction to create the NFT, but it's just an address which is already known in advance, I could still, if I would get access to the metadata, I could still just deploy exactly the same thing, couldn't I?
No, because the metadata that actually gets deployed has to be signed by our platform. So
Uh-huh.
so we
Okay.
verified that this metadata actually came from this user, and then in the transaction there's a signature that is verified on chain that this transaction actually originated from a real source and it was not front run or something like that.
Okay. But then there is a point of centralization there.
So there is one point of centralization here, to protect the integrity of the data and of the.
Yeah, I thought so because when you said that you were having the lazy mint, I thought that it's very hard to do that without having a centralized party involved.
Yeah, you're right. So this
all right.
so the lazy mint is actually done. So the creator that wants to sell this, they actually just sign, and then the buyer actually provides the signature. And to protect, we actually sign that this is actually a valid transaction and nobody's front running another person.
All right, can I ask how Niftify intends to bring NFTs and all their goodness to the Sovryn ecosystem?
Hey, yeah, I can take that one. So I've been following and the Sovryn community for quite some time now. I've known Englandia for many years. We've worked together in the past, actually. And yeah, I mean, the idea of essentially making Bitcoin a bit more useful, right? Essentially building out Bitcoin DeFi services and directly on RSK instead of everything just happening over on Ethereum made total sense to me. And so, why not continue that process? Why not continue developing further solutions for kind of Bitcoin centric or Bitcoin native folks? And NFT seems like the next logical step, right? Why not have NFTs minted directly on a Bitcoin side chain, and particularly with Sovryn, as part of the Sovryn ecosystem. So that's kind of the thinking behind wanting to do it here as opposed to a number of other, let's say, EVM compatible side chains. Big believer in Bitcoin and want to support that ecosystem. And I think Sovryn's essentially the place to do that. So that's kind of our thinking behind that. That addresses it. Happy to answer further follow-on questions around that.
Do we have other questions from the other Sovryn citizens on this call? Anyone can jump in here, just like as usual. The floor is for everyone. It's a open dialogue.
Maybe ask a question. So if I just understood it correctly, the technical discussion just now, there will be in total kind of 2 points of centralization here: the KYC process and then the lazy minting. Is there any way in which those points of decentralization also come together, that the KYC information can sort of interfere with that? And am I right in seeing those 2 points, or is that a mistake?
So I guess, sorry, can you repeat the second part of that question? Is tying into KYC, or what was the question there? It was a little choppy.
I think the question was if there's a way to circumvene, like to not be subject to the centralization aspects, is there a way to not have to do KYC? And I guess that the lazy mint could just is optional, right? So there would also be the option to just mint it yourself.
I'll try to answer the question from my perspective. I would love to. The only problem I have is that the SEC in the US considers NFTs as securities, and that involves
Potentially.
Yeah, potentially. Now, that involves future investigation, and that involves that if you don't have certain licenses and if you don't do KYC, then you're basically doing a criminal offense, and that would mean that if I would fly to the US, I could get arrested, and I don't really want that. So that's why we.
Does that mean that you will not be allowing US participants to use the system?
Here, I'll jump in on that, Iago. This is actually something we're currently talking about. So I guess there's a few different things that this question is getting at. One is as it relates to the lazy minting and the centralization of the data there, particularly the user data, which I'll actually let Jan address after I address the other parts. Second part is as it relates, I guess, just the sale itself. So for the sale itself, we are looking to do KYC just from a kind of a compliance perspective. I know people had obviously asked about that in the proposal on the Sovryn forum, so I wanted to just kind of address that head on. That relates specifically and only to the sale, and we're not doing anything with that data. It's exclusively just for the purposes of the sale. It's not stored anywhere like on Sovryn or tying it to Sovryn. It's just for kind of like our own internal purposes for conducting the sale itself. Now, as it relates to the platform itself, Niftify itself as a platform, we're looking to roll out, I guess, jurisdiction by jurisdiction, and so we absolutely will, at some point, aim to have U.S. citizens, of course, use the platform. It might not be ready immediately for like day one launch, but certainly we would like to have US at some point in the future. Sometime early to mid next year, essentially, for when we would expand it to US. So I hope that answers, I guess, those 2 points. And then Jan, if you want to touch on the lazy mint part.
Yeah, for sure. So as far as the question was, if we support the use of US citizens on the platform, so the answer is that exactly because we're going the KYC way, we're acquiring the license to work with that. So we'll be able to, once we acquire the licenses, we'll be able to legally and compliantly accept all US customers as the users of the platform.
Sorry, what license are you referring to?
So I think I'm not part of the legal team, so I can't say exactly, but yeah.
One of the licenses that we need is the Reg A license, and then there is a second one.
You would be looking to have a separate Reg A for every single NFT? If your concern is that
you need
NFT
it, you need it as a company. So as a company, you need a license because
not for given NFT sales. No, Iago. Yeah, to your question.
If your concern is that NFTs might be considered securities, KYC is not going to assist in that, and the Reg A would then need to be performed for or some kind of security licensing would need to be performed for every single mint.
I'm not part of the legal department, but I understood that one of the licenses that we need is the Reg A. But there is 2 or 3 licenses in total. Now, if you want, you can definitely jump on one of the calls with the legal team.
No, that's not. I'm not trying to provide you with legal advice. I'm just pointing out that if you're I think having KYC is not a bad idea in and of itself, right? I mean, there might be places where it's necessary and useful. The thing is that the point of building sovereign systems, right, decentralized systems, is that they effectively become their own jurisdiction, and that allows for unencumbered commerce between individuals. That's the point. And then if you are trying to protect yourself by going down the regulatory route, it's important that you go down that regulatory route, understanding in detail what the regulatory requirements are. And so I'm just pointing out that, so just, this might be of interest to people on the call. A Reg A listing is a listing with the SEC to perform a sale of a security for the purposes with certain limitations. For example, the sale of that security, the secondary market for that security is not allowed for at least a period of a year, and typically a period of 2 years. It also requires various disclosures, and there are also limitations on how much can be raised, and there are also limitations typically on how many participants there can be, although sometimes with Reg A you can eliminate the limitation on number of participants. Now, I'm saying this not as a lawyer, but just as a person who's curious about regulation. KYC is a totally separate issue from SEC regulation. KYC is primarily around money transmitter issues for the purpose of making sure that PEPs or other potentially high-risk individuals are not participating in the sale. And KYC can be used in a secondary manner for security issuances, where you can choose to do the KYC in order to disallow the participation of US residents.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I know
sorry.
it's not
Or,
we need.
go ahead, Bruno.
There is another one, and I'm really sorry, I don't know the exact license, but my main concern is, if I fly to the US, I don't want to be scared, get arrested, and that's why I'm trying to do things the right way, and that's one of the reasons we are doing it. And also there is also the physical NFTs that we are looking at doing in the future. So if, let's say, I buy a physical NFT, I would like to have it sent to my house, to somebody's house, then it would us to require to know who does it come from and where does it go to. So, because if you buy something from someone, you want to receive the item. So that's another reason why we are asking these informations.
All right. Any final questions from the community?
I'd just like to put in a kind of a closing, thought there, closing remark. So, yeah, no, I mean, I just want to make clear, we're not, Yago, no, we're not looking for Reg A for every sale of an NFT. Absolutely not. That would only be relevant, for raising funds from US-based investors, which as part of our existing token set, we haven't even anyway. And as such, as it relates to just the sale itself, it's just a KYC check, not anything beyond that. And then again, I'd like to reiterate that we're definitely looking to roll out kind of jurisdiction by jurisdiction the Niftify platform overall, and our end goal is to make it as open of a platform to anyone, so that people can transact in an unencumbered fashion, to your point, for NFTs, and critically bringing that to a whole new ecosystem here. Ethereum certainly has a lot already done on it, and we would of course look to also be on Ethereum, but we really value the kind of differentiator, if you will, that sovereign ecosystem on Bitcoin, essentially on a Bitcoin sidechain can provide, and hopefully kind of the community will see the value in bringing NFTs to that, to help expand kind of available market opportunities. So that's kind of that's pretty much where we stand. Certainly open to different ideas, suggestions as it relates to specifics around kind of the structure of it on Sovryn. I know some people had different ideas around as it related to SOV stakeholders, for example. So we welcome that, and whether here on another call or in the chat.
Anyone else?
So yeah.
Silence? Is it just me? Malva here.
You will need to leave the call and enter again. That's a Discord issue you have sometimes. I also needed to leave and re-enter.
Okay, thanks.
Alrighty. Sorry for the interruption, but yeah, thank you very much, Roman. Thank you, Jan and Bruno, for sharing more insight on Niftify's mission. Yeah, if you have more questions,
thanks for having us.
Yeah, refer to the SIP thread. I would like to take the last 10 minutes we have and address any questions or concerns from anyone regarding the updates on this call, or any general questions.
Hey guys, it's David. So this past week, we did the concentrated staking, and then there was also, I think people were kind of pleasantly surprised who were stakers about the fee reward that they received. Do we have any idea of like over how many days was that for? Was that for just, since we voted on the concentrating of the staking rewards, or was it 2 weeks, or was it a month? Like, I'm just trying to assess like kind of what the APY impact was from the concentration of the stakes.
So to answer the question really exactly, I would need to look when the last fee sharing was done before. But and maybe let me just check if Max is on the call, because I believe that we still do not have the cron shop, which is distributing the fees on a regular basis, which would mean that until now you only received the fees from the DOC trades and not the other currencies, which means that most of the fees are still to come when the function to withdraw fees from the protocol is called, which is permissionless, by the way, so anyone can call the function. And so to give you a short answer, until now, just as my knowledge, I would need to verify, just a small fraction of the fees which is currently accumulated has been actually distributed, and more is to come. And the duration is several weeks because we were waiting on that update with the fee distributions. And like I said, to tell you the exact date and the exact duration, I would need to do some research.
Okay, not a problem. And then along the lines of the fee stuff, Aurora, you kind of covered the AMM swap fees and those kind of being added to the stake. Not holding anybody to a timeline, but do we have an idea? Is that like something next week, next month? Like, is there just rough idea of when we think that may go into effect?
So currently it's under review. We will then need to update it on the testnet. And after it goes through the quality assurance process, we can schedule a mainnet deployment. So I would say we can see it like within the next sprint or two, depending just on when we're getting the review and when we can get these final checks done. It should be rather soonish.
Great, thank you.
Hey, hi, this is Nimesh. My question is that in the origin SIP, I saw that Sovryn takers get around. So, what are the conditions of the taking part, like, or eligibility rules?
Do you mean how much voting power?
Yeah, that kind of like that. Like, what are the conditions?
Yeah.
Like,
so we will be doing an analysis on the how much voting power is there right now for each users based on the wallet, and based on that we will be having different levels of that and how much they could buy on that. Right now I don't have any hard numbers, but that is how we will be going forward with the analytics for that.
any time frame we can expect the sale?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
When would we can expect the sale date? Like from
So,
year one?
Yeah, sure. So with respect to the SIP, we are expecting to do it early next week, and from that time that it is passed, we can expect the sale to be happening, the sovereign staker sale to be happening on somewhere between 2 weeks to 3 weeks range. So if by this timeline, it is somewhere around mid-November.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Nimesh.
Alrighty, we have 4 minutes left. Any final questions before we close out? Going once, going twice. Is this the first call ever where Whipper doesn't ask a question?
Yeah, man.
Not just that, I think it's also the first call ever where no one has a question before. Like, we're finished with the questions before the call ends.
Well, I mean, what typically happens is once we say that the call has ended and we go into the unofficial time, everyone has questions.
Gotcha. They're waiting for the off the record.
Yeah.
portion of your call. Okay, well, I will close this out, and thank you for being a part of our mission to carve out a trail for Bitcoin secured financial sovereignty, dismantling what people know and understand about money. So keep kicking ass, everyone. Help us spread the word and create more sovereign individuals. If you'd like to hang out, feel free to do so. I think this channel will serve as the lounge. I am going to turn off the recording and hang out here for a few more minutes. But I think we have a couple calls in the next hour or so. So I won't be here long. The Sovereign call has now been adjourned. Thanks, everyone.